Welcome back. In the aftermath of the Mali attacks, the Paris attacks, and reports that one of the terrorists snuck into Europe with refugees from Syria, it has become an increasingly tense debate about whether the U.S. should allow in as many as 10,000 Syrian refugees.
We need to put the safety and security of the American people first.
I find it absolutely hypocritical for anyone to say, let us shut our borders.
Remember, ISIS, in their own words, said we want to exploit the refugee process to infiltrate the West.
They're victims of this terrorism. Apparently, they're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America as part of our tradition of compassion.
There you see the mix of reactions. Polls showing a majority of Americans oppose this, particularly among Republicans, although there are also some Democrats expressing reservations. Congress acting to limit their access, and numerous governors saying they don't want the refugees here. But what about the reaction from Muslim Americans and Muslims living on Long Island? Well, helping us to address that is Dr. Shiekh Ibrahim Negm. He is a visiting scholar and imam and an advisor to the Islamic Center of Westbury. Welcome to the show, Imam. Let me begin by asking you, what do you make of the passionate, intense reaction to allowing Syrian refugees into America?
America has known for the fact that it is largely an immigrant nation, and people throughout the history have come to the United States of America fleeing persecution. I believe that the right approach to this debate is knowledge. We know that radicals, ISIS in Syria, for example, constitutes a fringe minority, about 20,000 radicals. The rest of the Syrian people, about 22 million, are the victims of both ISIS and also Assad regime.
Well, you see, that is a small percentage out of the large population, but when people hear 20,000, they go, well, it only took a handful of people to terrorize France.
Yes, of course, but of course with the passport in France, this is not a confirmed information. Let us wait for the proper investigation.
About whether they snuck in with the,
exactly.
There are reports to that effect.
Because they, as the president says, they are the victims of ISIS, so they are fleeing from persecution.
Before I ask you further about this, how many Muslims live on Long Island and in the tri-state area? Do you know?
In the tri-state area, we have about 400,000.
So that's not an insignificant, that's a very large population.
Yes.
Now the concerns, though, the fears even that are being aired by many is that in light of the Paris attacks, you know, it would only take one terrorist sneaking in with the refugees to do tremendous harm in, say, Times Square or at a subway or at a concert here. It could happen here.
I totally agree with you, but shutting off the borders and preventing people from coming in is not the solution, because ideology, as we say, has wings. So we have to focus our attention in discrediting, disowning this ideology of hate, this ideology of terrorism, by presenting an alternative ideology.
You know, why has that seemed to fail, though? Because we've heard since 9/11 that the loyal Muslim Americans have said that we have to confront this ideology, and yet we still see people leaving their homeland to go fight there or mounting attacks where they live.
No, I beg to differ, because largely the Muslim community in America are law-abiding, and they are doing their best. They are actually in the front line for this ideological battle.
You have some calling for even more extreme measures. A Republican candidate, Donald Trump, saying, he says mosques where extremist views are aired should be shut down, and that the mosques need to be monitored.
No, I don't agree with this, because shutting off mosques is not the solution. You will not be safe if you shut the mosques. I think it is better to work with Muslims. Muslims are ready to protect this nation. We are loyal to this nation, and we have together to fight the ideology of hate.
What are you hearing from fellow Muslims? Are they afraid that there's going to be a huge backlash now?
No, I don't think so. With working with the clergy, with interfaith, with the media, we are pretty much sure that we can work together to prevent this backlash.
You know, when we see terrorists waving flags and speaking in the name of Allah, you know, the question that many people have, though, is how have they seemed to hijack the Islamic faith?
This is a fringe minority, but the overwhelming majority of Muslims are voicing, they're standing together, they are discrediting and disowning this fringe minority. We have to work together to end this menace. And I think that Muslim Americans have done a great job in the past, and they are willing to do this together with mainstream Americans.
You know, President Obama has defended allowing Syrian refugees into the U.S., but he's also said that the Muslim nations need to do more to step up and confront this threat that's primarily in their own lands.
Actually, we are seconding this, and we're going to have a press conference around 1:30 after the Friday sermon. We're going to participate in marches and rallies against terrorism. We're going to put a Facebook fan page against this, so we're ready to do this.
Do you think that these nations need to step up with more troops, as some people have said? Why risk American lives for a problem that began in the Middle East?
I think it is, we have to take more of preventive measures. Religious literacy is the solution.
Yeah, because, you know, there are even calls now for our own troops to be sent in. This whole debate now about whether a bombing campaign, you know, and critics of the war have also said, you know, the problem with our strategy was that if you break it, you own it. That was Colin Powell who said that in the past under the previous administration.
We've learned from past experiences that waging a war is not the solution. Rather, it is education. Rather, it is taking preventive measures, disowning and discrediting the ideology of hate.
Well, we want to thank you very much for coming in and talking with us today. I know this is a difficult time for Muslims, but a difficult time for everyone because people are losing their lives.
We are in one boat, so we have to work together.
All right, thank you, sir. Dr. Shiekh Ibrahim Negm, he is a imam from the Islamic Center of Long Island, where he's a visiting scholar. We want to thank you for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you.